tanga muni atu. A whitia mai te akina hoki o mātou, tinana me o mātou, wairua. Te ata mōhio ai mātou, ko koe a ihoa. Kroria ki tui ngā tapu. Amine.
Amen.
Kia ora, everybody. As you may have seen, it's been a really, really, really busy month for us here in Te Rāwhiti. We've had, in the space of a month, we've held two Changemakers wānanga in Manawatu and in Hawke's Bay last week. And so kind of getting back into the more usual day-to-day mahi that we do, which this webinar today has been a part of, has been really calming. Understanding like that we have mahi that we do every day, and not having a whole chunk of our week taken out by having to go to another rohe and host a wānanga or doing all the logistics. Tēnei te mihi atu kia koe Tim. More mahi, doing logistics, building relationships, spending time with other people, coming back to Tūranga and just spending time in the sun has been great. We're going to get straight into our kaupapa kōrero for today. So I'm going to hand the rāko over to my mate here, Jamie Hutana, and he's going to introduce himself. Tēnā koe, Jamie.
Tēnā tātou, ko tai mai nei, ki te kaupapa o te rā. Ko Jamie Hutana hau, no te whānau tautawirirangi mi te whānau taupare, ko te ākau tokumaru, i tērā whakapau o kahangunu, whatu i apati me ngai toru I waho. Yeah, so my name's Jamie Hutana, part of the Tāneora lead, I suppose, as I would say. Yeah, so thanks for coming on and listening to my kōrero, which was last minute, I suppose I should say. But anyway, it's yeah, nice to see everyone's faces and all the rest of it. So,
we are nothing if not flexible.
Exactly.
So James, give us a little history on who Jamie Hutana is, where you came from, kura, mahi, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so yeah, te wake au, I was brought up in the ākau of Tokumaru from a young age until about ages of 9 or 10. Come from a solo mum background, and me and my nanny pop, which is what we called them up there. So my grandfather were brought up right across the road from the marae. So the marae was a sort of special place for me. My nanny pop was one of the butchers back in the day of the old freezing works. He was born a long time ago. He was born in 1902, so he'd been in his 120s now. But yeah, so come from that sort of setting. Then we sort of bit of whānau stuff happened, and we ended up moving to Tūranga, which was a good move in a sense, but then in another sense, it sort of was a bit of a changing of much like that urban drift back in not too long ago, but in the 70s. So yes, I moved to Tūranga and done all my schooling here, Waikirikiri School, went to Alminster, and then to Lytton High School, or Ritana Toa. So yeah, done my schooling there, and yeah, school wasn't a thing for me, but I hung on there because I enjoyed playing rugby, so I stayed at school for a long time and sort of didn't get much credentials out of the school curriculum there, but yeah, enjoyed my mates and enjoyed playing a bit of rugby. From there, yeah, so stayed in Gisborne. So went back second year seventh, which was, but we got paid. We were actually talking about it yesterday with Tānapa. Tānapa Iho went back second year seventh as well, because you got paid like about $80 or $90 to go back to school, and it was to try and improve Māori sort of staying in school and trying to get an education. So the government of that time sort of tried to help. So yeah, so that was that part there. For those from me, and then from there, Uncle Mopi Devry was at my house one day. Who's well known around here, and he was having a hui with my mum and said, "Oh, what's your boy doing?" Which I didn't know what I was doing, and he actually got me a job with the Freezing Works, and I had to go and play rugby with my uncle. So yeah, so that was the start of my senior rugby and my first job at the Freezing Works over here in Gisborne at Wedel Kaiti. So yeah, so from there, worked there for about 3 or 4 years, moved away to Palmerston North or Fielding, and transferred there. My sister lives down at Fielding Ways and joined the Freezing Works there. Then one day went home and on the news, the Wedel had closed the gates. No one was informed, and so we were all out of mahi. So yeah, and I was there, just like one of those things. Everyone met at the pub and relived our experience of there. And yeah, back then we were all getting paid and with notes then. So yeah, so it was all that bit of an era. From there, I always wanted to be a policeman. So that was a goal from a young fella, but because I never, never thought much of my brain, I suppose, that it never thought it would come to fruition. And then the brother-in-law rang up, said there's a course in Gisborne. So yeah, came back home. Me and my partner, I'll say we were pregnant, so we were having our first child, and we always said that we'd bring our children back up at home. So we moved back home, came here, did the course, and ended up at police college in 2000. So yeah, and then 25 years later, I left, and so yeah, was in the police for 25 years, and then recently, well, as of a year this month, I left the police, and yeah, joined Tāne Ora. Yeah, so it's pretty much that part of me. Yeah.
And so a lot of the cordial that we've had since putting together this webinar has been about, and because our webinar series is mostly about what are some of the learnings that you've taken either from your professional life, your personal life, and how that's contributed to the mahi in Tāne Ora. And so the simple way of asking that question is, what are the differences that you see from the 25 years that you spent within police and now spending this year within the Hikitia Tāne Ora kaupapa, the Tāne Ora Te Rāwhiti specific vein of this kaupapa, and how we're trying to create positive environments for growth and whatever that growth looks like. What are some of the differences in the mahi that you've learned?
I suppose one of the, and like we have spoken about a lot, one of the biggest things I think I take away from it, even thinking now about it, is actually the internal stuff, the internal relationships, and the way we look after people. And like I said, over 25 years in the police, is a different system. It's a different way. You're at the bottom of the hill trying to like patch things up. But my last sort of 10 years in the police, I was in prevention. I was the po-tikanga for them as well. So there was all that stuff, and that was a struggle to try and get the prevention or the mindset, I suppose, to looking after people and how we can do that. And we did bits and pieces that were good. But internally, when it's not succinct, we're not all on the same wavelength. It was always really hard because you're always battling to try and improve our staff so we can improve what we're trying to do in our mahi outside. Leaving the police and in this space now, it's the feeling of everyone's doing the same, and all the people I meet across the sectors, everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's wanting to do good for our communities, for our whānau out there, and that's sort of a real feel-good thing. Well, for me it is anyway, coming from the other side of it. It's like, wow, yeah, there's a lot of people that actually want to do that. And the other thing coming from the police was how everything, I suppose the government, everything was rubbished, or everything was put down a bit, in terms of, oh, that place is no good, that place is no good, oh, don't send anyone there. And it's we never spent time in those places. So it's that looking on the outside and looking over there going, oh yeah, that's no good, that's not doing any good. But we needed to really make those relationships work. And so and we tried, and they still do. There's still some good parts to it. They have to be there, but coming outside and working in this space, it's really, I suppose, blessed to be actually around people that want to do exactly the same thing and do well for our whānau.
So our Changemakers wānanga down in Hawke's Bay included one of your very close and very senior bosses from the police whānau, from our whānau in blue, Sam Abirahama, who was our area commander here in Te Rāwhiti for 15 years. And he was your direct supervisor. But one of the things that he said just out loud was that he has been brainwashed by community. And because he's been out of that mahi, he's been out of the police for about a year now. And it's only taken him a year to be brainwashed by community and the ability that community has to answer all of the questions, to answer all of the raruraru that community has. Where do you think you sit on that scale? Like if that was the scale for people coming out of systems mahi, government leaning mahi, police mahi, into community, where do you think you sit on that scale, and how do you think that's contributed to you, the person now?
I don't think I'd call it brainwashed. More of a, I think if it's in you, it's not going to be a natural way. It's going to be easier it just happens. And I think with Sam, and I know his background and all that, and then the way he moved through the police and through the ranks and all that. And I think, brainwash is a word you say, but I think brainwash in the sense that same thing I said about everyone's on the same kaupapa. So it helps you just get in there and it's just getting the different voices that help you go through those things, and you look back going, you know,
why did I even think that?
yeah, what did I think some of those things back then when I'm here, you know, what you call it, ingrained now in this space with people that want to do the same stuff. So yeah.
I wanted to have a list. I wanted to have a Mahi as the practice lead for Hikitia. So give us a short, concise kōrero about what Hikitia is. It's part within the Tāne Ora Tairāwhiti kind of ecosystem, and what we're hoping to achieve with the kaupapa of Tāne Ora Tairāwhiti.
Oh, I suppose like because we had a manager previous to me, so the practice lead for me was, and because the manager was a good mate of mine as well. But I think we always worked well together, and I suppose it was just me was supporting, being the pakahiwi for him, and supporting his ideas and actually understanding his ideas, and we both did have that same whakaaro anyway, and but it was balancing it out too, so we can actually challenge each other in those spaces, and just about, is it right, is it, and even today I'd still say it's still a hard space to understand, to fully get involved. Because you I wouldn't say doubts, but you're trying to do the best for people in a positive strain, and just really push hard and push forward. And then I suppose it's always trying to have that positive lens on things, and that's why it's real neat going to Changemakers or going to Hui's in Tairāwhiti and hearing that positive talk around, because then it just sweet, we're still doing right. We're still doing good.
It's still the justification that you are doing the right thing, or attempting to do the right thing in the right way, as a means of enabling the community to do what it needs to do. And because from what I've learned in the time that I've spent solely within the Tāne Ora Tairāwhiti team, is that you're not actually providers of services or programs and all that kind of stuff. And so how hard has that kind of been? I know for me personally that I struggle not trying to stand things up, and so this has been a lesson for me to how to enable other people to stand up a kaupapa that they're really passionate about, rather than me getting my hands dirty, as it were, and genuinely helping them in that way. How hard has that been for you?
Oh yeah, real hard. Even like I said, the whole team. It's just been because naturally you want to do something. You want to say, okay, we'll go and do this with rangatahi, we'll go and do this with the younger generation, with our pupils and all that. You want to do that sort of stuff, or you want to go and do a sports thing or look in the tyre. So it's just, and it's easy to do because there's things in place, and so you can do that sort of stuff with this stuff, instead of how we've gone around looking at what's already here. All that stuff's already happening. So do we create something new? It doesn't, anything more. Actually, now if we can promote this stuff, if we can get other people to look at this space here and make it better, or even just provide support to it. So it's quite hard not to get in the hands.
We are ringaropa by nature. I know you and I share that. We were born and bred into the kauta, being Nai fans, being ringaropa in that way, and so this even thinking about just sticking to enabling or creating the environment for kaupapa to stand up on their own mana has been a really difficult thing for me. And so I can only imagine for you it would be exponentially more difficult, seeing as you're sitting in more of a managerial kind of spot when it comes to our Tāne Ora Tairāwhiti team. How has the transition from being, and I don't say just, from just being a practice lead to being the overall kai whakahaere for the Tāne Ora team, how has that kind of adjustment been for you?
It's been good. And like I said, I sat alongside Willis prior to this, doing all that sort of stuff, and me and him spoke a lot about all this sort of stuff in that realm of managerial stuff and systems change, all of that sort of stuff. A lot more mahi in there in terms of just trying to get understanding around stuff, and then trying to think that you need to know everything. But getting told like yesterday, but in a good way, saying you don't actually have to know things in and out, upside down, and all the rest of it. But you just need to front things in front of them well and positively, with a bit of with all that good stuff. So
nice. Aroha, my whānau, I keep forgetting to mention this. We have a chat function here in our webinar. If you have any pātai,
it's broken.
He likes answering partai, even if he doesn't like answering partai. Please share your partai if you have any to the chat, and we will have a Q&A session around in the last kind of 15 minutes of our kōrero. I want to talk about Changemakers, and so like we've spoken about the Changemakers wānanga that we've held around the motu. Firstly, here in Turanganui. Second one was in Otautahi, Christchurch. Then to Tāmaki Makaurau a couple of weeks ago, down to Te Papa Ioia, Manawatu, and then last week in Ahuriri, in Napier. Of the wānanga that you've come to, you've attended, what have you thought about the wānanga itself, the people that you've met, the different perspectives that you've added to your repertoire, and how have those whakaaro helped you in your mahi within Hikitea, your mahi within Tāne Ora Te Rāwhiti?
Yeah, good. I suppose you come from Christchurch, so down in the south and that, and then and then also the Hawke's Bay and all that. But it's just the same thing as what I've mentioned before about people in those organisations and those services, or even this community, people that are coming on, and how they're hungry for it. They're hungry for something, and they're doing their own way, and they're doing it really well, and all the rest of it. And it's like, how can we, as it says, the change makers, but how can we come together to actually really try and make a movement, or try and make something really, really change, to make change in this place? Because all the stories are all the same, from whether they're in Christchurch, whether they're in Hawke's Bay, whether you're here in Tairāwhiti. All those stories we hear, all the mahi that we're doing is all the same. But it's how can we just really try and look at something as I'd say a movement, whatever, but and just make real change, like a stronger change, And we've been doing things for a long time, for a lot of years, and it's we're still sitting in the same space. And no, I don't talk about the actual stats of that, because we just chuck that at the back and just keep going forward, and we can look at things doing better. But that's the biggest thing I've taken away from it.
Well, because one of the, and tēnei te mihi atu kia koe, Christy, for this whakaaro, one of the things that we've seen over our time within the Changemakers kaupapa is that we want to tuitui whāriki. And so the function of this whāriki, or this metaphoric whāriki, is to be a place for us to sit together, wānanga, and then take a specific kaupapa that we wānanga and actually do something. And so that's the more dui part of our mantra that we have here in Turanganui Ākiwa. What are some examples of some dui that you've seen over your time, not just in Tāne Ora, but Changemakers, this whole kind of ecosystem that you've been a part of for the last year? What have been some of your highlights from the dui part of our kaupapa?
I don't know, I suppose for us, and that, like I said, it's been the ecosystem, but it's been around the Friday karakia that's happened. It's going to be a year on this year, with the rest of it.
Walk us through that. Walk us through the process for us to start up a community karakia.
I suppose, so where we're situated in our space, there's a few different whatiora, healthy families, taiki, and us as well. But and McDonald's, but there's a bit of a space there that's sort of an underutilized space, which has actually made it even better that it was underutilized. And just from a whakaaro from one of the brothers about holding the Friday karakia, which seems like real simple, which it is. It's real simple, just having a Friday karakia for the community to see who turns up, and running that into Wiki o Te Reo. So we did it for 5 days in a row, and then after that we had a bit of a hui. What should we do after this? Well, let's just carry on. And that was all it was, and it was just carry on. We've got a calendar now where we come in, whether there's 10 or 20, there's actually always way more than that. There's always over 50 people that come to it, and it's open for people to share for us. So that was a real, just for something so simple, but something where people come on a Friday, there's a bit of a laugh, bit of a kata and all the rest of it. But how people feel, I don't know, it's Te Ao Māori, but it's not as well. It's just about people coming together just to share the morning, 15 minutes, and we're all gone with a bit of, karakia and waita. So that's a huge highlight. Now we've started with C Company, which is every fortnight at the Māori Battalion Museum that we've got in Tairāwhiti here. So that started this year. Same time, and so that's run fortnightly, and that's just the same thing. And we had it yesterday, and there's been about 14, 15 of us. So it's just a different space. Some different people turn up to that one. So just all these little pockets of, I suppose, gold for here anyway, and again, it's the spaces. We're allowing a space. So the space in Treble Court was underutilized. Now Fridays, people start coming to see company, and it's Maumahara to remember our fallen soldiers from all the wars. And it's a space now that's open every Wednesday fortnight where you can go and just have a little bit of a listen. And it's only it's real short. It's 15 to 20 minutes. So
So because it sounds like the idea for the community activations that have happened, that have been successful in your mind, we're just opening up space for people.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about what has come from the karakia, the community karakia, and this is really, really cool. This is one of my favorite things in the whole world that has happened because of this.
So those that don't know, like Tamararo, which is the annual kapahaka event every year in Tairawhiti. So what did happen from the karakia on Fridays, that a couple of the people put a bit of a tono, a bit of an arcs out to people who wanted to join a kapahaka group and stand on stage. And for a lot of people, it's pretty daunting that they haven't done it before. But it happened in the end. It happened, and but they made it for the people that helped organize it. They did it in a ngāwari, real easy, simple, no pressure way. It was just turn up, we'll sing the songs, and we'll just still daunting, still nervous as adults. But so even that and the kōrero that we gave with our waiata and all the rest of it, and with our kōrero to the audience about we're just a group of people, and it was a space that was available, and we got it from a space we had Whatuora there, we had healthy families there, we had Tāneora, we had Taiki,
Gisborne District Council
Tauawhi, and council workers there. And so that was pretty special. We're the last group on, so they saved the best for last on Saturday. So just what's grown from karakia, and so it shows you what communities can do just by coming together and just putting a pātai out to someone and saying, hey, should we just go and try and give this a crack? You never know what might happen from it. And so
one of the beautiful things, and Jamie likes glossing over this part. So we held the Manawatu Wānanga on the Friday before Tamararo. And so we were slated, this kapahaka group was slated to be performing on that Friday. Luckily, those of us in the community, in the kapahaka community, it was just a text to a relation of ours, because can we change our time and day, please? Most of our tāne are going to be in Manawatu at a wānanga. And within 10 minutes, it was confirmed that we had been moved from the whakangaho part to the very end, which is where all the competitive kapahaka groups were. And so we had to go after the whangaras of the world, the waihireres, the hokowhitsu, the competitive matatini kind of taumata kapahaka groups. But the sentiment, because I was sitting in the crowd watching our team, and the sentiment that was coming through was, and I was telling them, they've had 3 practices. This was built on the back of every Friday coming together, spending time as a community, having waiata, becoming comfortable with each other as people, and then using that, doing something with that aroha that came out of our community karakia. And so, big mihi out to Ali Chambers, Kobe Te Pairi, for kind of being the backbone, so that some of us who are a little bit intimidated by the kapahaka stage would be comfortable and be enabled to do that, to be the dui in our kaupapa. So like, honestly, it was amazing. Yous were amazing. We'll go over to one of the pātai, because I
can't read it, but
he can't read it. Brian, kia ora, Jamie. What does being a tāne in prevention and change making look like for you? What are you looking to model?
Brian, I knew you'd be the first one to ask a question. I suppose in terms of not just a bloke, it's in this being in the tāne or the hikitia space and all the rest of it, and when we've gone out into the community and seen, and our wahines hold space all the time, and they hold it really well, and they deserve to hold those spaces really well. And all the kōrero we say is about our men and how do we hold space, and we hold space in different areas. But there's certain areas in terms of prevention that we need to hold a bit stronger, and we need to be really stand up in those spaces to be that male role model. And we talk about, and this is going back to Willis, we always used to talk about male leadership in your communities, but there's, and sorry, Wahine, I'm not being in a detriment to you fellas, but male leadership, so you have the Derek Lardellis, the Mark Corpus, and that Te Ao Māori space in Tairāwhiti, Victor Walker and all of those guys. Then you have Selwyn's and all that. Then you have the iwi spaces. But you have real local leaders that are really, really important too. And they're the ones that are bidding at OPA people. And they need to be put out there. And that's why in terms of our space of trying to promote guys that they just do it. They're not there to get the accolades. They're not there to get anything. But their prevention is by just being who they are. But we don't see that. We don't show those stories. And I think part of us is showing those stories.
So on that kind of point then, because someone that we both, you and I both know is Daryl Crawford, and the mahi he's trying to achieve with the Uawa Rugby Club, but not just the Uawa Rugby Club, but Hauiti, the mahi that he's doing up there. So what would be kind of good storytelling for Daryl to become a more central part of the wider conversation of prevention for all of the bad things in the world that we know about? What would like a good story be on Daryl from your whakaaro?
You see, Daryl's from a generation of me playing rugby and going through all those sort of those stages of sitting on the back of the bus and all the rest of it. And that was the first call, was grab the bottle straight after the game. And his little simple thing is for his club to be alcohol free, but it starts with the team. So look, I was saying with the role modeling, he's trying to role model that within the team. Up the coast, if anyone knows it, and it's the same in all those little spaces, rugby's the life of the community. And if you can gravitate towards something and put some real good vibe and some positive vibe for our rangatahi to see, that it's just so much bigger. Because 2:30 on a Saturday in Uawa or Tukumaru or up in Ruatori, Whakarua Park, the town stops and everyone goes to the rugby park. You know, they back their truck up and they put their chairs on it and they have their drinks and all of it. But if we can start really role modeling what that doesn't have to look like. So when the chili bin opens and there's the chocolate milks and the fizzy drinks that they hand out to the kids, and you're drinking beside your uncle having a milkshake, or you're having that fizzy drink, that little part there, that small little thing there is huge in the whole concept of what Saturday rugby looks like. Not going to happen overnight. And for Daryl, who started that a few years ago, but then he sort of, with his mahi had to sort of change, he's gone back into managing, and he's now managing also the East Coast team, so Ngāti Porou. So he wants to really push that. We want to push the story with it, and he wants to wait till he gets some successes in there. So I've been to watch a couple of games, not on the back of a ute though. So yeah, just watching from the sidelines and just doing a bit of observing there. But it's another small thing that someone like Daryl does. He's just doing it not through any kaupapa. It's just him thinking we need a change. So it's just a person doing what he loves, and he'll just do it. Whether someone pushes him, or whether, you know, in terms of his story or not, he will carry on doing it. He will just do it.
Because that's the real beauty of people like Daryl, there's real community, though. They don't like being called leaders, but they're modeling what leadership is. And so it's just something that comes really, really naturally to them. And they're not doing something that's alien. They're just trying to do what's best for what they see is best for the community as a whole. And because, like getting drunk at the game is something as normal as going for a swim.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, like, we lose Saturday night, Sunday morning to that. And so if we could just replace one of those beers with a chocolate milk, that would be beneficial for all of our Ngāti Porou whānau, our Tairāwhiti whānau. You are really, really passionate about rugby. And so how has that kind of shaped what you've targeted, really?
Interesting, because we've had a lot of conversations about that.
And rugby being the platform of that.
Being the platform. And I suppose with our team, with the Piki Tiatani, all the team, all rugby, we're mainly so the rugby is quite, it's a lot of topical conversation. And so for us, it's okay, we push this? You know, we have those conversations within our own clubs, you know, and then most of the other guys are leaders in their clubs too. So it's having those conversations in spaces we can. And which are hard spaces. These are challenging conversations. For me to go to the senior coach and go, can you fellas try and look at the way you fellas do things? But and it's and I know I can, you know, so we're trying to develop how we do it individually in our own clubs. So but challenging conversations and like how long has rugby been going and the drinking culture has been going for a long time, and we try not to say rugby, but it is right. But we try and bring in sports clubs as well, and there's a whole range of different clubs in different environments that encourage that. Encourage it. That's part of the thing. It does a funding thing too. There's all those other aspects of that ecosystem of a sports club. There's a whole range of things that have to happen in there. But for us, because we were all rugby players, that we sort
it
of
was an easy
path for us
to
to
follow.
Look at. Yep.
Well, and because like a lot of the kōrero within Tāne Ora is about relational and reflective practice.
Yes.
And so this, like you talking about rugby clubs and rugby as a sport and how it can have a positive effect on the community, especially in Arts Pro. How are you using your relationships? How has that been with kind of tempering those awkward conversations or those hard conversations that you feel need to be had in those kinds of spaces? How is that added or detracted from?
Being honest, it starts with me not going to the club rooms and drinking.
Yeah.
You know, not going to watch the game from the sideline having a drink. You know, they've designated areas and all that sort of stuff. But for me is that, so like going and watching New and just, you know, hanging out with uncle over there and just watching the game and doing. So I got to role model that first. If I don't role model it first, then I'm just contradicting myself and doing all that sort of stuff. So so there's that sort of stuff. We had the CEO of Poverty Bay come in yesterday, do a podcast. He's new to the role, 2 months in, which is this is another year really good for us. He's a new CEO, and we talked to him about that. Maybe not at club level yet, but it's start the conversation. It's like any serious conversation. It's actually just starting the conversation. Is there any good time to start the conversation?
Nope.
No time in the bed.
No
then now
time
there's no time
the
at the present. And so we had him in here and he listened to us. We talked about the rep season, which is coming up. The first game is East Coast versus Ngāti Porou, which everyone knows that's a tribal warfare on straight away, and that's the first game of the year.
The left hand scraping the right hand.
So just, and it's like I said, it's just starting the conversation, but it's also to go back and restart that conversation again, see what it looks like, and for us to come back and not say we're telling you to do this, but let's get you on board. If you're on board, we're on board. And we'll get other people on board too.
Well, if we were to take a step into like professional sports, Steinlager used to be a really big sponsor of the All Blacks. I'm not sure exactly what the function was, but a law changed where they couldn't promote, Steinlager couldn't promote itself as upfront as they did once. And so having alcohol or having kind of not good things up front for our highest professional teams has been slowly but surely changing the culture around alcohol and sports. Has that kind of come down into the regions? Has that come down into just Saturday morning rugby, Saturday morning football? I know that it has for me, but your view from within rugby, has that come down?
Yeah, no, it's definitely changed. And like, I think, well, I've coached at rep level and the club level, and even then, that the style of drinking, or the type of that was happening then has changed. It has changed significantly, and there's more. Well, the boys are more aware of their, fitness and all the rest of that. And there's a whole lot of different aspects to why things have happened in terms of the change. The drinking culture, so it's still there. It's not as hardened as what it used to be. They don't have the Sunday sessions now where you left Saturday morning and you never came home till Sunday afternoon. Those days, that's what it used. That was a real big culture, and I was part of that culture, growing up from an 18-year-old playing senior rugby. So that's gone. There might be pockets of it that are still there, but it's changed. But we can still do better if we don't always look at doing something better. But then we'll just get stuck with that. And then that's the norm. Well, that's not the norm. We change it. We keep changing the book, and that's what things said when they had the Changemakers, which I liked was the book and turn into a chapter.
Yes.
So we're on this chapter. We've opened the page here. We're at this chapter now.
Mm.
Let's keep turning that chapter so we get to the good parts.
Yeah.
And then just make it good.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that one.
Jeremy,
He's
that was,
really good.
Mm.
Our next parto from Trina, tēnā koe ki roto o tāmaki. Tēnā rā koe, Jamie. How was your transition moving from engaging with the community as a police officer to your current mahi? Partai pai,
Yeah, funny because when you're just when you're in the uniform, and even if it was your whānau and you turn up and you're in uniform, that straight up, it was always a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Even though who you were, and you could have been the best cousin or that was your best uncle and all the rest of it, there always was it was always a barrier, or for me it was. But you had to navigate your way through it depending on what the situation was. And like I said, my last few years were as a prevention officer, like in the Pautikanga. So for us, we tried to, our first thing when we first started, we tried to take the uniform away. So we always asked about going in civvies and all the rest of it. And certain things you would go to, like a tangi, and depending on what we were doing. But yeah, that was hard. And then we tried to make the police uniform normal too. So we turn up with a police uniform and be in those spaces. And it's still hard. I've got some mates, I've still got some good mates, and they come to Friday karakia in uniform. But we love that now. We see them, there's three of them, play the guitar, they run the karakia session. So just seeing police in a different dynamic, like just the karakia and a waiata is so huge, and because they're fathers, they're uncles, and they're,
grandfathers.
They might be coaching rugby on Saturday or refereeing little kids on Saturday morning. They might be at surf lifesaving. So it's seeing them in those pockets. But they need like anything, we needed to do it more. But it was
because the great thing about community karakia is it's going to be running in perpetuity now forever. So this will run whether we're here or not. And so that's always going to be a space for community to come together. And that's those people in uniform have taken the opportunity to build that relationship with the community. Have you spoken to any of them since they're like Aubrey would probably be the best one to have a kōrero with about how that shaped his whakaaro on his mate as a policeman, but also him as a person? Have you had those kinds of conversations?
Actually haven't. And Aubrey's been in like nearly 40 years. 40 years in the police. No. But see, I've even like today I walked past some of our whānau that are on the street, and one of them is my cousin. And he goes, "Cause you started in the police." So that's a year after, and I'm going, no, finished. And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then, so just those conversations in small little spaces. But the uniform. But then when you're in little spaces, even out of the uniform, they still know you're that. They still think you're that. So there's still a bit of just a little worry back. But and it just takes a bit of navigating. Takes a lot of challenging times, a lot of challenging moments. But we get through them. Got to go and sit and have that cup of tea with them, and another cup of tea.
Luckily, we are cup of tea people. I know that I'm a cup of tea person. I would prefer to go and have that cup of tea. I've never worn a uniform of any kind, and so there's been no barriers to me having those cup of tea. Have there been examples of the cup of tea, so the uniform being a barrier to having that cup of tea in a kōrero, or that coffee in a kōrero, or whatever it is for you? Yeah.
They always at those, and just in the worst case scenarios when you're attending incidents and. Because I was the Pautikanga, we'd have to go to all the bad situations, but then we have to go into the door to try and make that get that connection, and that door, that to me even now that door, the door opens, but it's like
just slightly cracked and not open as you need it to be.
There was always that thing there, and even though we were there for the good, and they understood it, but you didn't get.
It's a difficult situation just to be a part of, just in general.
Real hard, And there's, to be honest, there was a lot of those situations, each of those situations,
And to be fair, when we went down to Manawatu, one of the whānau who works in the court system within the police system, they made a mention of saying something, and it was really, really strange to hear at the time. But this whānau mentioned that there's Tūranganui, their courts, their police system, and then there's everybody else. What do you think that whakaaro comes from? So we are massive of community. Our court team, our different court teams had a kabaka group at Tamararo.
Yeah, 2 years.
And so like that was amazing to see, but that was irregular, or that was not the norm. Can you have a little bit of kōrero on that? Like, where did that come from? Like, I get that having Hemi Taumoni as a head judge of the local court system is a really good push, given his whakapapa and whangara.
Yeah.
But where does this kind of difference come from? Because I get that, like, police, court, they all kind of manage from a central place, but, like, we're just doing it differently. So how did that come about?
Well, even going back further, there was the Rangatahi Court. So Rangatahi Court was just run on Pokorawari, was done at the Turangarare. So there was all, we were always trying to do things differently. And so we were running through Papa Temple. So there was Kaumata, there was a big tikanga Māori, Te Māori's perspective on Rangatahi in court and taking them out of the court system, putting them in an environment where they can bring whānau to sit alongside and actually have their court. They're not sitting at the back. And all that stuff. Then Te Pai, you know, oh, geez, I've got the name now. Over at Ngāti Parau. So then that started, you know, so there's a court over there that's taking lesser offences that goes, so they go through there. So they sit amongst, you know, a group of a panel that go through the court document or whatever. They change it all the time, which is quite good. They always relook at how it's going to be. It used to be court offenders, so you'd read out the bloody the summary of facts, which was the court document, and that's what I was over there. And then we could actually, let's not call it a summary of facts because it's not court now. We're actually over here now doing restorative justice, so we're going to do it like this way, and we won't call them the offender. So when we even tried, so it's actually the wording or the language, just trying to change the language so much, because as soon as you call someone an offender, do I want to listen to that?
That's a traumatic thing.
Yeah, it is, and the triggering thing for it. So there's all of that. So yeah, there's always been so when she talked about our court system, Rangatahi Court, so all the other stuff that we've been trying to do, Taumarama, which got put on a bit of a hold, but that was changing the language and changing actually where the courtroom looks like in the courtroom. Which if we can change that, that's huge, because everyone that's been in a courtroom, not a nice place to go, even if you're only there to support someone. It's quite a scary feeling. So if we can change the look of that, and there's a whole range of things with the court system, but I think we've tried stuff, and you know, we're still trying. We just got to keep, like I said, just got to keep going and trying and looking at things and how we can make a difference.
Tēnā koe mo tō pātai. Pātai from Christy. Oh, what's the potential of using tikanga and pūrākau in sports clubs for prevention of harm? Oh, this is right up your alley.
Christy. Yes, wow. Well, this is interesting. So I'm thinking of YMP, which is one of the clubs that are here and one of the top, well, not my club, but anyway, they haven't got a club rooms. So they are looking at building, which for some reason, me and this mahi now is a real way we can look at things in a different aspect of they're going to build a club rooms. So it's just a space that's and an opportunity that's arrived with us, and it's like, wow, we can actually change. They got massive pūrākau. They've got capability in their space to use pūrākau in their space and tikanga, and they do. In part of the aspect, they still play. They're still one of the top clubs. They're the oldest club in Tairawhiti or in Turanga. So so looking at that, so there's an opportunity there to really make a big, put a po in the ground, I suppose. We won't have a bar, and they've talked about it. We won't, and well, luckily enough, a couple of the guys from our team are part of that club, and so putting a po in the ground and just saying, hey, we're not going to have a bar. It's going to be whānau orientated, and this is how it's going to be designed. So it's challenging conversations that they've had inside their club, but good conversations, and they call themselves whānau. Let's see where whānau, how big whānau, what it looks like to you fellas when they do that. But like that's it in this. But really good whakaaro, Christy. That's and for my club, which is one of the other older clubs too. Bit more of a handful, but still conversations that could be had around that and how we do things. When I was coaching, we put, because we've got a big Pacific Island sort of contingent in our team. So the Tongans, and they're a big part of the club as well. And as we know, we're diverse communities, so it's not just using our Te Ao Māori lens. We're sort of using our Pacifica lens too. That's part of that club, and they've been part of our club for a long, long time. So it's reaching out to the whole thing, because In terms of that, I suppose I was going to say alcohol doesn't affect just one set of people. Doesn't set it, yeah.
Just for context, YMP as a club is like the opposite of my whānau club, which is why I always boo them. But importantly, my partner has played for YMP hockey for the better part of 20 odd years. And so it works, but it doesn't work really. But yeah, tēnei te mihi atu. Tēnā te mihi atu kia koe mo tō pātou ki te tai tōgero. Our last pātou for the day. Tēnā koe Sean O'Connor. Wow, that's a name, eh? Kia ora, Jamie. We played for Lytton and the Poverty Bay Under-19s. I remember your fire, your ihi, your leadership from those times. Ka tigara. I recently went and heard Jono Riddler talk about his recent world record-breaking swim around the east coast of Te Ika Maui. He talked about the importance of doing hard things for a purpose beyond oneself. Within the Line team, what are your thoughts about the deep purpose of the work you and others do, and your thoughts about how Tāne can be connected by greater purposes?
Sean.
We'll break it down into two kind of smaller kind of parts. So what deep purposes on the mahi? So we've had heaps of conversations about the deep purpose of our mahi, because there's the surface level stuff that we're trying to affect positive change here in Te Tairāwhiti. But what positive change at a deeper level will that mean? So when we talk about prevention of harm, what are the far away things that exist? What are the deeper purposes of that?
That's a good, another good question. I'm trying to, no, the deeper. I know we all have those aspirations to make those changes and further, but I think with our work, I think we need to reach a lot of space. Like we need to reach right across everywhere. Like this, like I said, we go to like the Changemakers, there's all the services, but we need to reach beyond all that sort of space to make change. The whole community is made up of so many different environments, so many different spaces that we need to reach all of them. And it starts from one space, which obviously, but a lot of these spaces have been going on for a long time, for a hell of a long time. And it's like, how can we really look at reaching other spaces? But yeah, we've got to start somewhere. And the greater purpose of making that, which is, I don't know, I always sort of don't have doubts, but something like, oh, this is hard. Or, you just go back and say, this is hard, mahi, but I'm here, I'm up for the challenge. You got to get people in, that's mostly I think you got to get people up for the challenge, up to take the challenge on, and then just role model it again. Like you said, the fellas swim around Ika Maui for all of that sort of stuff. We do little things, but we do little things really well, and we can still do little things better. Yeah.
And so how can Tāne, we'll just use Te Tairāwhiti as the example, how can Tāne be connected to the greater purpose, by greater purpose? I'd like to push you in the direction of Karo and his wanting to start that dad's group. And because that's something really, really paku on the surface. But the deeper purpose, the greater purpose of that is to build community for a place, for a group of people that haven't found that kind of community, that specific kind of community. So how can we be better? How can we, because we are Tāne and Te Tairāwhiti, how can we be better connected by our greater purpose?
It's the same again, opening space. So for Karo, in his space, instead of say his dad's picking up their mokos or their kids from Kohanga, from EC, and just going to a space and play with their kids. It's a real easy basic for Karo. But if we need to help him, so people need to get behind him. That's all this thing was. So he's come to us, said, I just want to go to the library and read a book. There's a real, but the greater purpose behind it is huge, because not everyone will want to do that. Not everyone will want to do a Friday karakia. But we can find all these really different little pockets of gold that we can look for that actually they're all for the same purpose. They're all for just role modeling good behavior and actually being together. And for Tāne, we talk about talking to each other. And those are those little pockets for men, they can talk to each other in that little space. While your kids are on the bikes around the thing, or while you're reading a book to them, you're sitting with the other men. It's all
while you're drawing chalk pictures on the ground.
Chalk on the concrete, So hopefully that answered it. That's a good one, man. Cheers,
Tēnā rā tātou. Ko tae mai nei ki te mutunga o tō tātou huirangi mo tēnei rā. Thank you everybody for attending our kōrero. Tēnei te miha te kako e te whananga. Nei rā toko maru e mihi ana kia toko maru. A waima e mihi ana kia waima. Yeah, big mihi to you, Jamie. I get that this was really difficult. I told him yesterday that he was going to be on our webinar. And luckily for me, he's a really, 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 really good sport. But yeah, tēnei te miha te kia koe te whananga. Nei rā te miha te kia koutou. Mai ngā tōpito katoa o Aotearoa. Thank you for coming. It's always really, really nice to be in a webinar. It's really nice and cleansing for the palate. It's cleansing for the soul. Just to have kōrero, just have positive kōrero about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Māku tā tātou hui e whakakapi mo tēnei rā. Huri noi tō tātou whare, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Kia inoi tātou. E te atua, whakatūwhera te mai kia mātou, ngā huarahi o te tika, te ora, te pono, te kaha, me te māramatanga. Mā mātou koe whakamoimiti, e whakakrōria ki tō ingoa tapu. Āmine.
Āmine.